Mac Truck, aka your worst nightmare. Mac Truck, aka your worst nightmare. Mac Truck, aka your worst nightmare. Mac Truck, Mac Truck, Mac Truck, Mac Truck.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Mac Truck, aka your worst nightmare. AKA your worst nightmare.
Good. Icon on so that she could say hi later on. So we're here to do. Got a little bit to talk about, a lot of time. Hey, MK, welcome in. Thank you for joining me here on the Metro Podcast, Mac Truck in the Morning-ish. We're here talking sports today, getting everything set up. Like I said, if you missed us, we took a day off, all of the things. Took some time to hang out with my family before kids get back in school, before we get back in school, all of the things. I appreciate you guys joining us here. Got a short docket, but lots of details. If you're joining here on the TikTok stream, go ahead, like the screen, tap the daily heart means all the things, share it out. If you're over here in the StreamYard stream, like I said, we're still running to two screens for the moment. Hopefully can try to figure out some way I can get everything onto one screen. So we're here though. We're talking sports. Go ahead and tap the screen if you guys don't mind for me. I'm going to get everything to go here. It's a Friday. Listen, we've made it to the end of the week. Okay. We've made it to the end of the week. We're here. It's Friday. Got a lot to talk about. Going to cover the WNBA and the recap from last night. Also going to talk about some NFL preseason games in its entirety from last night as well. Then going to have a conversation about this newly discovered eligibility in college athletics for the NCAA. And here's my thing about that. And in fact, that's the first thing we're going to start here with today, if you will. It's just this entire thing is interesting to me as far as why they just decided to come out and really I just feel like the way this thing has come about has been very random. It's been very just out of the blue, kind of all of a sudden, in a way. And I don't quite understand why or where this is coming from. So I'm interested. So we're gonna have a conversation about that. Gonna have a conversation about a lot of other things, like I said, including but not limited to college football, college athletics, WNBA, and the NFL. But listen, this is brought to you by the Under, as well as you guys, the listeners, the viewers, the spectators. I appreciate you guys for joining us here today. So listen, I said we're going to get into it. Going to have a conversation about the college eligibility, I guess, new rule or stipulation. I don't necessarily know what to call it. I suppose is the better way I'm kind of going with this. But so if you're joining us, thank you. Like I said, I appreciate it. Boss man, welcome in. Thank you for joining. My dear friend, Mr. Executive for the Underknown Network. That man is a busy individual. Make sure you give love and shout. I appreciate you guys for joining me. Nader Gator, welcome in. Let's get the conversation started. Y'all go ahead and drop your daily, share it out, all the things. We're on a Friday. So took yesterday was nice. I now know it's like to start to be like these shows out here, and I really chat here on the TikTok sphere as well as the Underknown Network itself. I'm going to create a messaging board for everybody who consistently watches. Also want to get your guys' opinion on some stuff as well. So, because we're thinking about updating our time slot in one way, shape, or form. So I want to, good morning, Laura, welcome in. I want to get everybody's input because this isn't just like my show. Like, while it is my show, like I have listeners and fans and, friends that watch the show and listen to it. So I want to make sure that everybody in some way, shape, or form gets a chance to put their input in as far as making, helping make the decision on what time they'd like to see the show. On the map, welcome in. Listen, for all things underknown artists, sports, and pop culture, make sure you're following On the Map. You can find obviously here on the Underknown Network as well as the TikTok stream as well. Listen, you're only going to find out everything on the map, but you have to be tuned in. You have to watch, you have to link up, you have to tap the screen, all the things. Because like I said, and like I've always said here, the things we got going on at the Unknown Network are bar none. Y'all are just going to be mind blown with some of the stuff that we're coming out with, but you won't know unless you tap the screen and tap in with us. And I appreciate you guys for joining me here today. OG Big A, thank you for joining me here. Listen, talking college sports for just a little bit here. And I know there's a lot of college fans on both sides of the chat here. So like I said, I want to get your guys' opinion, and I want to start with this. Have you guys heard of the 5th year eligibility rule? Shout out to the network. Everybody go follow the network right now. Alfonso, I do agree that Notre Dame is a little bit too high. I also think Alabama is rather low. I think this is the lowest preseason ranking they've had in about 6 or 7 seasons, if I remember correctly. It's crazy for me to sit here and think about. So listen, like I said, go ahead and tap the screen, share it out. Let's get some follow refreshes. Let's get all of the things going. I believe Alabama, when I looked, was ranked number 13. I believe, in that middle third of the top 25 preseason polls. Nine, good morning, welcome in. So here's the deal. So, like I said, let's talk about something big in conversations in terms of college football and its eligibility. Now, I would assume that this is going to flow over somehow into other college athletics, but it seems like it has been just primarily football based in terms of this, which I feel like would make very little sense in its entirety. So we are going to talk about it here. We're going to talk about it, and I have my opinions. I guess I have more questions than opinions in its entirety. So, like I said, there is now a 5th year of eligibility when it comes to college football. Now, obviously, when we think about normal college football, we think 4 years, 4 seasons, and then you're going to go pro, transferring or moving. So the other thing is it's not the 4 years that we know now is completely different from the 4 years that we're used to. Like, most of the time we're just used to people getting a straight 4 years unless they get hurt, get redshirted, enter the transfer portal, all the things. Now you have, as a college football player, like I said, I think this flows into some of the other college athletics. But in terms of just this right now, talking about 5th year eligibility for college football. So here is the skinny, here's the meat and bones of it. The NCAA again has changed it. So under a new Division I age-based eligibility model, athletes can generally have up to just about 5 years of eligibility if they have a red shirt, things like that. So normally, like, if you get hurt, you get sick, you don't end up, you have a season-ending injury or something like that, you obviously still have that that option to try to come back, rehab, all the things, and finish out your college career. Depending on what they enroll and whether they meet the eligibility requirements, the NCAA has moved away from a lot of the old redshirt and off-season competition rules. And you can find this information at ncaa.com, as well as any other generalized sporting engine that you get and ingest your daily information. Continuing on here, and I'm going to tell you, having the general 5th year option now, like having that as like, oh, I can now go to college at 19 years old and be done when I'm 23, 24, or I can start a little bit later. and go from there. So, like I said, and a lot of this I feel like is centered around players, that declared for the draft, didn't get drafted, were possibly told, staying in college would help, increase their draft stock if they decide to come back after, obviously failing to make an NFL practice team roster, that type of thing. So, and obviously, like, again, if you've watched, especially college football, like, you've seen how the dissipation of the old school system of college football has worked. I mean, well, we could take it from time. We could start with how there used to be a Power 5 college football system and 4 playoff spots. Like 4 teams, the best 4 teams with the best 4 records were getting into the playoffs. Fast forward a couple years later. Now we're considering conference championships. Now we're considering head-on-heads. Then we're changing the bracket to the playoff bracket we had last year. Now we're fast forward this year. Now so like everything has been changing. And you have boosters. You have the whole thing with NIL, that type of thing. So college football in itself, that from what we've known it, obviously depending on how old you are and everything, has progressively gotten progressive. They've moved away from the old school system of things to the new school system of things. And I use that in air quotes very loosely. But the thing for me is, where did this even come about? Like, how did this happen? Like, what's the complete reasoning behind it? Like, I don't understand. Like, if anybody's in the chat on either side, like, drop your thoughts about this entire thing. But like I said, when you think about having that extra, you think about the people that are not quite NFL ready after the 4 years. Maybe you have a quarterback who needs, another year to clean up your mechanics. You might have a couple offensive linemen or position pieces that have been suggested to maybe hop back in the transfer portal or return back to their college athletic team to try to clean up some of that, obviously improve their chances of getting into that next level of athletics when it comes to sports and such. So it's not something that's mind-blowing in terms of like players, being suggested that they stay back, or players being suggested that they just, that they come back to fire up those mechanics again, that type of thing. So it's also interesting to me how much backlash there is with this in its entirety. Like I said, it's also, a lot of it's largely situational. Like I said, maybe you have a defensive player who's finally putting everything together and just needs to have that 5th year option to really showcase what they've been able to put together, for the first 3-4 seasons in its entirety. So like I said, that 5th year could be really the difference between being drafted and not going drafted at all. But again, this is where it starts to get interesting. Like, it's not just about players. It's not just about like individual player management. It's now roster management. You also have, and I'm using the University of Indiana, or Indiana University rather, in this example. So you now, with this 5th year option, some of the players that were on the championship team from last year that maybe didn't make it to that didn't pass from a pro day, didn't go to an NFL, or didn't go to an NFL team in terms of being undrafted free agent, drafted somebody or other. Like, it gives those individuals a chance to go back to Indiana and clean up whatever they were supposed to, and maybe be put on the draft board again for 2027. I mean, listen, like I said, you got freshmen coming in, and it's a lot of it is roster management too. Like, okay, especially with NIL and boosters and all the things now that we have it, it's like, okay, we're at a point now where, okay, we have more NIL money, we have more cap space, if you will. Now we have this 5th year option. So if people that, didn't fare very well coming out of their original class, they could come back and, I guess, reevaluate that, get back on the team, that type of thing. Like I said, but it's mainly, to me, about roster management. Like I said, you've got freshmen coming in, you got transfers coming in, you've got the veterans who don't want to leave. That's the other thing, is like, there's literal players on some teams that could be ready to go to the other level, or could be ready to experience, life outside of college athletics, but they're just really not willing to go, or not ready to leave the place that they're at. So like I said, now you've got athletes potentially staying around for that 5th season. So the coaches, I feel like, still have to figure out, like, who do I keep? what am I recruiting? Who do I recruit? Like, do I tell, like, when do I tell, or who do I tell that it's time for them to either relinquish this or, show me something a little bit more? Like, and let's be real, like I said, with NIL and the transfer portal involved in this entirety, it just isn't really a football conversation anymore. It's more or less like building power teams and seeing if you can make a 180 flip to go back to where you were, type of thing. So for me, it's just, I'm interested in all the opportunities. And along with this 5th-year opportunity, this also could mean another year of NIL opportunities for that person, another year of development, another year, obviously maybe to finish that degree. Because let's be honest, like, if you're going to college and you're playing in a D1 level, while you do have to keep a certain grade point average, a lot of players don't necessarily finish out their degrees. Obviously depending on like draft stock, and I'm speaking specifically on college football. I'm not speaking on anything else. I'm just speaking specifically on college football in its entirety. So a lot of people don't finish their college degree by the time they get to by the time they come back. None of the I'm not seeing any of the comments down here, Mr. Exec. I don't know what is happening, and I'm kind of frustrated with it. And I just see the normal ones on both sides, but I saw that one. But anything that you've typed previously, I have not seen. So I don't know if it's a glitch in my studio phone or if I need to update it or anything. But you could also drop it in my phone or on the Under No Network side of comments, because I could still see things over there. Either way, sometimes we have technical difficulties with technology, and that's how we do it here. But the show must go on. So until we can figure it out, we're still talking NIL and the 5th-year college eligibility in the NCAA here on Mac Truck in the Morning-ish, Mac Truck podcast live, if you will, 12:50 p.m. here, Eastern Standard Time on Friday, August 21st. The fact that it's the 21st of August is insane to me. I need y'all to understand that although 2026, I feel like, has kind of drug on and kind of gone slow, the fact that it's the 21st day in August, and which means we're over halfway through the year, is crazy to me. Either way, like I said, for some players, it means getting that extra year of NIL, another year of development, another year again getting that degree, another year of getting that opportunity to put yourself out there to go to the next level. If you guys can hear me clearly, tap the screen or leave a comment. I just want to make sure that my audio is also okay on both ends if we're having comment issues. And what I may do is I may have to okay, cool. I'm just making sure that the audio is doing audio things correctly. I may have to restart this stream over here on the TikTok sphere and see if the comments pop up, because I'm literally seeing very few comments, and I know there's people in here. So interesting either way to see what's going on. But like I said, sometimes that's what happens with technology. Either way, so I want to ask you guys this. Like, ask yourself, is this 5th year, like, if you were put in this position, like, is my 5th year currently helping me? Like, can I improve my draft stock? Can I become a better player? Like, can I earn my degree? Can I put myself in a better financial position? Like, because if all these answers are yes, then I obviously feel like players should be able to take this opportunity. Like, if they can answer all of those questions, like, honestly, without like trying to come off as greedy, trying to come off as like they just want to give up their spot, that type of thing, I think then maybe having that option to take advantage of the 5th year eligibility is very much a feasible thing. But if you're kind of just like hanging around because you're scared to make the next move, don't really have a plan, maybe you use that 5th year option to kind of rocket fire that plan that you may have. Just maybe, and that's just me. I'm just, like I said, trying to think of this in a logical way. And don't get me wrong, it's very, very much an interesting conversation on either side. Commented in the group chat. Okay. Let me see. You might have to add the show page to the group chat, boss man. I don't think, because I'm on this one over here and the computer screen and this phone, so I can't hop in the chat in its entirety as it is right now. But that is honestly in terms of just how the college eligibility has worked in its entirety to now. But again, now having that fifth year option is interesting. So, and here's the other part about this entire thing, right? Is like, what is that going to do for other sports in college football just in its entirety? Again, just because we're talking about the eligibility and how it will affect college athletics and football across the board. Jeez, listen, it's Friday and words are hard to come by. Apparently, and that's fine. Either way, listen, it's a different conversation if you can't. If you can't answer those previous questions as an athlete, like in its entirety, like fullest, all of the things. So the other part of this is we've got athletes from 2022 high school class fighting for an extra additional year because they landed in a weird spot, obviously, with it being in the middle of the COVID era, the eligibility extensions and the NCAA 5-year model. Courts have already stepped in on behalf of some of those student athletes, have created more uncertainty for coaches and athletic departments trying to finalize their rosters. You can find that information at Reuters.com as well. Thank you guys for joining me. I see all the taps and stuff on both sides. I appreciate it. I know there's some glitches on this side, so if you're writing comments and I can't see them, I'm sorry. I literally cannot see. I'm getting like every other comment. If you're over here on this side, not quite a lot of comments yet, but y'all know I can bounce back and forth. So if there's a comment here, I'm just now seeing it. Either way, so I don't think the fifth year option for college is as easy on surface level as people think. Easy to have a fifth year, but it's not just like it's not like an arbitrary fifth year. I feel like the NCAA is just trying to compensate for lack of better terms. They're trying to compensate for those people in between the COVID era that feel like they got cheated out of. And I can see both sides. I can see being a student athlete, like, okay, like I graduated a class of 21 or 22 and my 4 years is now, but I was still in the middle of the COVID era eligibility model in itself. And I didn't exactly get started right away with my college career or, building the best of it because of people, classes in front of me, all the things. So I completely understand where that's coming from and where it's going. I said it's not, it sounds simple on the surface, but it's not. Like, it's eligibility, roster management, NIL, player development, then it's the NFL draft, obviously, most importantly, like being able to find that lane to start your career if your athletic career doesn't pan out the way you want it. So like I said, I'm curious to know what you guys think about this. Like, should players who have competed 4 years automatically get that fifth year if they allow it? Or should coaches still have a final say whether the player has a spot? Like, that's the conversation. And let me say this before we kind of like move into the next topic here, is that when I think of this fifth year eligibility and like players and again just football players, because it's mainly affecting college football right now in its entirety, right? And again, if you guys are here, I appreciate you for joining me, all of the things. Hello Anthony, welcome in. I have not seen the group chat yet. Give me just a second, boss man. But I want to know, like, I want to see like how they think this is going to fare, because now you have people that are like, oh, well, I was in the middle of a COVID era and my last season was 2024, or I have, my class was 2025, but I started in 21, 22, but they've already come out and said that they're not counting the red shirts. So like, if you were redshirted before this eligibility, I guess, insertion happened, then you don't get that fifth year eligibility, because then you would end up getting an extra year to make it 6. I see people have questions. Anthony, what is your question? If you could type it down in the chat, maybe I could see it. That'd be great. I'm having comment issues. So we're, like I said, it's something's going on with my chat. So I am very apologetic that I haven't been able to see it. So let me check okay. I just, boss man, I saw that you added me, but I don't see any questions in here particularly. And I just updated this phone, so I know it should be running right. Yes, Charity, I know that's why it's called Mac Truck in the Morning ish, because it's morning where a lot of other people are, and it's afternoon where I'm at currently. Would be the last thing. Said. Let me see. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything in the chat. In fact, I don't even see any of the old messages. Either way, thank you for the daily harmony, Ashley. I appreciate you. I hope you're having a wonderful morning. Duck Daddy, welcome in. I see the rest of the squad and families popping in this mug. Like I said, if you guys have questions, maybe try to put them in the chat. I hope it will start to work. Oh, there we go. Okay. That took forever. Okay. Question from the executive producer in his entirety with this whole thing about the college football fifth year eligibility rule. So like I said, I appreciate you guys for joining me here on the Mac Truck Show, Mac Truck Podcast, Mac Truck in the Morning ish. I'm your hostess with the mostest, talking fifth year college eligibility here. You can find us on the Underknown Network as well as the TikTok stream in its entirety. Question is, so I think it's getting out of hand. If you can't make it the next level, whether you made a scout team or not, going back shouldn't be an option. Your time is up. Either find another route to the league or get a job. College should still be for student athletes. Yes, I absolutely agree. And when did it get so muddy? Now we're questioning eligibility. Yeah, see, okay, listen, I'm not ignoring you guys. I'm literally not getting any comments, okay? There's no splash pads here. There's no sofa. Well, Duck Daddy bought my sofa yesterday. Spotless. No, pet-free, by the way. But in terms of this entire thing, I don't know when it got so muddy, but that's a really good question. Like, when did it get so muddy? Like, why are we questioning the eligibility of every single sport, like WNBA, NFL, etc.? Like, for what? Like, what has caused this? I mean, outside of the obvious thing that we're talking about right now, when it comes to the WNBA, we're something we're going to table for just a little bit here. But when did we start questioning the eligibility of some of these sports? Like, where did this start? I can send you a picture of oh my goodness. The chat is going crazy right now. I appreciate you guys for joining. Go ahead and tap the screen, all the things. But again, like, when did it come a point to where we have to start questioning eligibility for sports now? It used to just be, again, kind of like going back to that old school way of thinking. Like, it used to just be, you graduated high school, you got in your freshman year, maybe you had to sit for a year or two, and if you're not, good enough to make a starting spot or get on that second team rotation, then you're hitting the transfer portal or whatever that looks like. Now it's like, because of NIL, like players and athletes of sports are literally, okay, I'm going to start at my dream school, and if I don't make it in a certain amount of time, or if I don't make it in, to be able to get playing time my first season, I'm hitting the transfer portal because somebody else is going to pay me money and pay me what I'm worth as an athlete. And as a former athlete in college, I understand that. But also, in the same respect, you have to give yourself time to develop to their systems, right? Like, you have to be able to, like, nothing. And part of this, and a lot of you guys know me pretty well. Like, we live in a system, or an ecosystem rather, in life right now, of instant gratification. Like, if I can't get something in a very short amount of time where I don't have to put in a lot of effort, I'm not going to do it. Like, if I have to do, and the average time for people these days to be completely satisfied, or to feel that they've fulfilled whatever they have actively with it, if it's not a month or less, then people feel like they're wasting their time, which is insanity to me. Like, but when it comes to sports, why would you waste a year of something or craft that you've been working on your entire life? Like, that somebody make that make sense to me. I don't understand it. Like, and maybe I'm overthinking it, but I feel like if I were putting my lifetime full of, like, time and effort and passion into my craft, like, I don't feel like I would necessarily just do a one and done and move to another school or one and done, unless I'm obviously good enough or I've done enough to be one and done and move into, the next phase of life in terms of like going to the league, going to a big company, that type of thing. So it's very interesting to me. Like I said, I want to know what you guys think. Again, if you post down in the comments, there's all kinds of things happening over here on this side. Conversations about water slides and something over here, and then got a little bit of flow going on this other side here. I got some comments here. Charity, I left because of coaching and lost the love. Yeah, and I feel like a lot of it is let's see. It comes down to the coaches too. So many athletes coming forward, how they were. Yeah, and a lot of it is crazy. Overseas players coming to play in the U.S. are pro leagues at 16 for women's. Yes, so in some, and that's more of like a WNBA question, but it's still a good question. A lot of female pro athletes, depending on what like pro league they're in. So like up until the WNBA was able to start profiting enough to pay their players, a lot of the WNBA players had to go overseas to make up what they couldn't make during the normal WNBA season. And I can try. I'm having green screen issues too, but send it to me and I'll try to save it. And get it up on the screen for you, or at least get it in there for next time. But yeah, a lot of pro women's basketball players, at least from the U.S., has gone overseas to, play over there and get more money over there rather than being able to play professional basketball in the United States. And I feel like with the CBA, that's where that's gone, is now that most WNBA players can stay domestic stateside if they need to. But most international play for professional sports, I believe, is 15 and up. I'm not positive though. Try sending it to both, Ant, and see if I can get it on either side here. Either way, we're moving on. Like I said, got a couple things on the docket, a little bit of details for you, if you will, here on the Mac Truck in the Morning-ish show, just about 1:05 Eastern Standard Time. Before we move on to the next subject, that is the NFL preseason, he said both are pure gold. Listen, I love this for all of us. Also, huge shout out to the boss man, the executive director, producer of the Underdog Network, Mr. Evan Thunder Bradfield, for hooking me up and letting me know that I can put my own show out there. I didn't know that I could do that. So I'll be able to get the audio version of this back out and running. And I'm excited because, like I said, y'all know me, I'm a little slow. You got to tell me things like 2 or 3 times. So I appreciate it. Either way, got to give a shout out to the network all the time. Without the network, we don't have this space. We don't have the ability to do the things that we're doing. We don't have the platform. We don't have a lot without the network. So I got to give love. Huge shout out to the Underknown Network. Like I said, tap in, get connected, stay locked in with all the movement where beyond the conversations are expected. Okay, beyond conversations, beyond all things normalcy in life when it comes to getting your ingestion of sports culture and entertainment from us. And I listen, like I said, I'm grateful. Like, we've got all things going on the map, had music reviews and had episode 19 Wednesday with Samo Green. Okay. Also, if you are an Underknown artist, you need to be tapped in with the Underknown Network as well as on the map. That is, I swear, that is how you are going to start to get out, because on the map, music reviews and on the map itself is where people are getting started. And we've had all kinds of people on the show, and I don't want to name drop, but I'm gonna make y'all do your homework and go back and look at some of the clips and some of those episodes. I can tell you, we've had very, very cool, very, very famous, very, very laid back individuals and artists on the show. So need y'all to understand what it is. I see a comment from the network. You can do video on Spotify. They'll convert. Absolutely. See, listen, I'm learning stuff new every day, and I appreciate all of you for being here. I got some comments from the boss man, because we got to listen. Ooh, newest one, 8:27, 7 a.m. Ooh, let's go. 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 p.m. Pacific on 8:27. I'm assuming that is episode number 20. Boom, sent. All right, let's see what we got here. I don't know if I'll be able to look at it. If you send it to the normal TikTok, you might have to also send it to the show page as well, Mr. Ant-Man. So you might have to send it to the truck page in its entirety. Like I said, a little bit of a laid back show for you. Like I said, I did start out, had a break yesterday. And it was very enjoyable. I got to harass my wife, got to harass my daughter. And if it wasn't for my daughter, I would not be on with you today. I'm going to just tell you that right now. I walked in from work yesterday. She said, Mom, she said, you going to be on your show so I can say hi again? And I was like, well, I guess I'm going on Friday. So that's what we're doing. Let's see what Aunt sent us. Listen, it's laid back right now, guys. Oh my goodness. Okay. This is great. All right, here. Just because Ant is one of my best friends and one of my biggest supporters, I'm gonna put this up here for him as soon as I can figure out how to save this motherfucker. Oh my goodness. So listen, here in just a second, we're going to hop into some NFL preseason stats and game flow here on the Mack Truck podcast, Mack Truck in the morning ish, if you will. Again, presented to you by the Unknown Network. Listen, football season here, guys. We've had it for about a week or more. Listen, the weekend before was the last weekend we had without football. And it's going to remain for a long time. But let's see. We had the Monday night football crew on a Thursday night preseason, had a doubleheader first, the Las Vegas Raiders and the Houston Texans. Please tell me somebody watched this game other than myself. Regardless if it's preseason, it's still football. Still football in its entirety, okay? Houston looked like they were in control pretty early. Obviously, CJ Stroud gets a little bit of work in, went 4 for 6 in terms of passing attempts, 27 yards. His only drive with the Texans built a 20-3 lead, which doesn't surprise me. I also think that CJ Stroud it has a little bit to prove to DeMeco Ryans this season. Obviously, the past 2 seasons have been electric, but with last year, just wasn't quite what we expected from him. But their defense, the Texans' defense, has been number 1 the entirety of this whole thing. So I'm excited to see how this goes for the Texans and CJ Stroud. I do enjoy watching CJ Stroud as a quarterback, although he used to light up my Iowa Hawkeyes when he played for, obviously, Ohio State University. But this is the NFL now, kid. You got to do big things. Moving on over into Raiders land, but we're not done yet in terms of excitement and a little bit of underwhelmingness. And I say underwhelming just because of obviously who this person is, where this person came from, what they've done through their college career this past season. I see a lot of new faces. Thank you guys for joining. Go ahead and tap the screen, get your daily heart me's, all the things. If you're on the TikTok sphere, if you're over here in StreamYard land on the network itself, tap, share, and subscribe, all the things. Get in the conversation. Talking NFL preseason. Listen, the Las Vegas Raiders came back all the way to win this preseason game, 22-20, and the comeback. Obviously, if you saw the highlights, was led by, ironically enough, Aiden O'Connell. Okay, he finished 15 for 14, 166 yards, and obviously engineered that 96-yard game-winning drive out of nowhere. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, where was this last year? Like, why couldn't you do this last year? But again, also only preseason, but preseason can give you a lot of tells. But again, like I said, that's what happens at preseason ball. You're trying to get your feet back on you, trying to get everything game speed. Biggest conversation coming out of this part is just the rookie quarterback, obviously Fernando Mendoza, being the phenom that he was for Indiana University, transferring from Cal into that Kurt Cignetti system. Not being a very highly touted quarterback in terms of physical attributes, which makes no sense to me because he's 6'5" and 230, 240, somewhere in there. So very tall, very lengthy guy, big arm. Obviously, you're going to have some struggles coming from a college system to a pro system like the NFL. Fernando Mendoza did not have a real good night from what we've seen comparatively from these past two, the championship season, the first preseason game, all the things. Fernando Mendoza again goes 8 for 15 for 86 yards and throws his first pick 6. Had his first touchdown last week, threw his first pick 6 in the NFL preseason game last night. And frankly, if I'm him, I'm thankful that I'm getting most of the kinks out, trying to get a lot of the kinks out, trying to get those adjustments, under control as much as possible before the start of the season. Now, obviously, like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Fernando Mendoza is a bust. He's been in the NFL for maybe 3 months now, maybe a little bit longer. It's a preseason game. Two, like, I need people to stop sitting here like already trying to pin some of these rookies as a bust because of a mistake that you saw during the preseason game. Like, make that make sense to me, please. I don't know if you can. I'm not sure if it's possible. I'm gonna see if I can get this together for Ant-Man right now. See if we can get this ready for him. Oh my goodness. Gonna be interesting to see. And I love it. So let's see if we can get this together. Either way, like I said, it's NFL preseason, guys. Like, we don't need to be all like, what's the word I'm looking for? We don't need to be all like up in arms about everything that we see in preseason. It's not really conducive to the actual game speed conversations, especially because a lot of the players that Fernando and some of these rookies are going against are second teamers and third teamers and maybe a couple people off the practice squad. So it just depends on where you're wanting to look. It depends. It's just, there's a lot of depending, and there's a lot of things that aren't necessarily like NFL regular season speed. There's a lot of things you don't see right now that you could see later. There's a lot of things you see later that you couldn't see now. It's a lot of maneuvering parts. It's a lot of just things happening, people happening, just people trying to make adjustments, athletes trying to make adjustments, all of the things. So like I said, if I see some comments, I will try to reply to them on either side. I appreciate you for joining me here. MacTruck Podcast, still going over some NFL preseason situations here in terms of the Vegas Raiders and the Houston Texans. Number two thing for the Raiders in terms of the quarterback situation, like right now, obviously in its entirety, Kirk Cousins still stands at that number one quarterback position spot for the Raiders. I think right now it's got to be, just based on what we've seen, obviously it's got to be Kirk Cousins, Fernando Mendoza, then Aiden O'Connell. And depending on how Aiden O'Connell does, maybe he can work himself back into that second or that QB2 spot. But I also don't think you put a lot of hype behind Brando to not make him the second string quarterback and to not make him, potentially get those NFL regular season game time reps at first string, type of thing. He's kind of in a situation like Shador, except Shador has been there for a year, took over all the things, and the Browns is something that we'll get to like next week because I have so much to say on just everything about them and what they're doing from a spectator's point of view. It's very interesting. Either way, number three on this list, how much depth does San Francisco have in this entire thing too, in terms of their issues, and I bring up San Francisco because they're in a similar spot in terms of not so much quarterbacks, but in terms of what pieces are going to be ready. Like, people didn't quite get the fact that, like, you lost George Kittle last year. You have Brandon Ayuk, but he's obviously nowhere to be found. Like, doesn't want to be with the franchise. Christian McCaffrey still having time. This Nick Bosa still coming off of the injury. Like, a lot of things happening around all of the entirety for this. So here's the other thing I want to kind of highlight with the NFL preseason is, like, the NFL preseason is literally that. It is prior to the regular season of football. I don't know if people really understand that in its entirety. It's just preseason football is meant to have mistakes made. It's meant for those types of things. And for some reason, and I'm sorry, I can't seem to figure out how to get my green screen to work on here so I can put that picture up for you. Either way, the NFL preseason and really any preseason of athletics is meant to see what the team has, see the types of pieces, see where they need to work on before the regular season, like that type of thing. It's just, it's interesting to see people kind of like ride all of their high hopes on the preseason, but it's also the only thing you can really hold on to until regular season starts. So like it's kind of a catch-22, if you will. It's kind of it's a win-win and a lose-lose at the same time. Like you're winning because you're getting to watch football, you're getting to see the pieces that your team potentially could use in the regular season, but the preseason games don't necessarily go towards your regular season stats. Like if it's like I said, so catch-22. It's very just up and down and all around in terms of what you're looking to do with the preseason. I see the chat is bussing over here. Duck Daddy's in here. Both Melissas are in here. Mom, hi, Mom. Hi, I saw you pop in. I know I saw you pop in here. I appreciate you guys for being here. Go ahead and tap the screen, like it up, share it out, get all your dailies, and let's continue to have this conversation on sports and athletics here on Mack Truck in the Morning-ish, the Mack Truck Podcast Live, presented to you again by the Unknown Network, as well as the TikTok stream, and you, the listeners of yours. Like I said, I appreciate you guys for joining me here today. Make sure you're tapping in with the network. Make sure you're tapping with all the shows. Find out what that do bigs. The Mack Truck Pod, recognized game that comes back on the 23rd. I can't wait. Obviously, on the map music views as well, and FLG Game Flow with J-Mac. So, last thing on the docket here, okay? WNBA. We're here. The WNBA is here. The Indiana Fever did not fare so well last night, and that's okay. Why? Because nobody can have it's seemingly enough, it's very hard to keep a perfect record, an unblemished record in the WNBA or any professional sporting entity, might I add. And I want to preface my comments by saying again, and I hate the fact that I have to keep coming on here and like reiterating this, but some people just don't seem to understand that. As a Caitlin Clark fan, I have zero problems criticizing her. In fact, I'm about to rip into her in just a minute, for the record, because I'm trying to figure out what the hell happened last night, and I'm gonna just keep it real. Like I said, WNBA happened on a Thursday night. Basketball is about to happen, so let's do it. First of all, the Dallas Wings and the Atlanta Dream had a game last night. This one had some buckets, a lot of buckets, a lot of different types of buckets, and it frustrated Caitlin Clark, seemingly enough, at something Paige Beckers did or did not do. I'm interested to go over this with you because I'm talking about this in almost real time. Obviously, long after the game's done all of the things. Matt, can I tutor you to do what, Duck Daddy? You said I did not mean to say Atlanta Dream. I meant to say the Dallas Wings and the Indiana Fever, but they also, I'm pretty sure, had a game last night. Either way, Arike Gumbawale does what Arike Gumbawale does. Okay, drops a 32 piece, and also with Jessica Shepard having a big night for Dallas as well. Dallas comes away with this one. They're now 2-1 in the series versus the Indiana Fever, 91-85 in victory. Obviously, like I said, Arike Gumbawale doing Arike things. Her brother also doing things last night on the Texans side of the football here in its entirety. And I love to see when siblings just tear it up in two separate sports and just seemingly enough know what the hell is going on. I love it. Again, 32 points. Jessica Shepard having a big night as well. But Indiana, like I said, never really goes out quietly, whether they win or whether they lose. Kelsey Mitchell out here now has the WNBA record for most 20-point plus games in a season. Kelsey Mitchell has stolen that from A'ja Wilson at 21 games now and drops 37. Drops 37. Listen, y'all can argue with me down here. You can argue with me here. You can text me about it. Top two for the MVP race is A'ja Wilson and Kelsey freaking Mitchell. Argue with your mama, not me. I don't care what you say. Kelsey Mitchell, I swear, has been the most underrated guard in the W this year. It's really upsetting to see. I see this chat is just, I appreciate it. 37 points by Kelsey Mitchell. Okay. Again, it's one of those games for Indiana where you look at Indiana and say, okay, you didn't get the result. There's still things you could take from this. Obviously. I want Liv to be too. You know what? And boss man, I largely agree with that. Because I can't sit here and say she hasn't produced. Obviously, she's produced. I cannot sit here and say that she has not been electric. It's a fact. If you watch basketball, Olivia Miles is right up there. I just don't know league-wise if they're literally going to consider the fact that a rookie could also be in that conversation, because obviously she's got Rookie of the Year locked up. And mind you, the Dallas Wings, I'm hopping back over to Dallas real quick because the Dallas Wings also lost AZ Fudd for the rest of the season. They're the number 1 overall pick for the 2026 draft, coming out of UConn, joining her girlfriend Paige Beckers on the Dallas Wings. Okay. They lost AZ Fudd. They and I must have been teacupped too long on the other side. It's okay though. Lost AZ Fudd, beat the Fever, obviously in a nail-biting manner. And the fact that the Wings have been able to just produce, and it seems like they're kind of just losing pieces and getting them back too, is what's interesting to me. The other thing about this, in terms of Olivia Miles, is that, like I said, I don't know if the league is really wanting to be that polarizing by giving or having Olivia Miles inevitably be the Rookie of the Year and be a top 2 or 3 for the MVP. I mean, and by stats and by performance and by eyesight, she absolutely is the top 3. Like I said, it's A'ja Wilson, Kelsey Mitchell, Olivia Miles, Paige Beckers, Caitlin Clark, and I would even put like Jessica Shepard in there, Maureen Johannes, Brianna Stewart, somebody to that effect. Yeah, AZ Fudd is done for the year, and it's honestly kind of upsetting. And I'm pretty the chat is going off. You guys are a little distracting, but this is what happens when family comes in. Even if you don't know what you're what I'm specifically talking about, the fact that you guys are just in here just listening, I said I do really appreciate it. Like I said, the other thing with Kelsey Mitchell is because when you have Kelsey Mitchell scoring like she does, and then you have Caitlin Clark like dishing the ball and creating the opportunities for her teammates to get their love and get their get back and all of the things, is what makes this a scary 3-way tandem in terms of Kelsey Mitchell, Caitlin Clark, and Aaliyah Boston, the current one of the current best big threes in the WNBA as it stands right now, this very second. And the other thing I'm gonna tell you is I'm more intrigued with how many more games Kelsey Mitchell is going to be able to operate like this, and is she going to be able to do it into the postseason? That's the other thing, is she going to get burned out? Knock on wood. Hopefully that doesn't happen. All the things. So I have a keen eye on this personally, just because it's my team. Kelsey Mitchell is one of the best scorers in the W. I don't care who you are. Argue with your mama, not me. If you watch basketball, you understand. Okay. Moving on into Vegas. Listen, the Aces handled business, handled Connecticut 101-78, blow by. Sheesh. This is why I said, listen, this is what I said last week. I don't care if it's the regular season, you still cannot count the Aces out. Again, because playoffs haven't even started yet, and the Aces always find a way to literally the Aces always find a way to show you who they are. Like, and not in a bad way. Like, they're going to pull back a little bit, obviously rest some of their players, start some of the starting 5, all the things like they've had. They do drop a game or two, and then they come back and do have games like this. Like I said, 101-78. A'ja Wilson obviously continues to be A'ja Wilson. Vegas gets the win, getting over the 100-point mark as well. There's been a lot of games this season where teams have been able to produce enough offense to get over that 100-point mark. And I got to go back to the Fever, obviously, with the Indian Fever having the longest current streak right now in the WNBA with 100 games at 100+ points or more, with I believe 6 games during this entire season so far. Like I said, regular season's not quite done. We still got a lot of time to see who's going to do what. The LA Sparks did get eliminated this week as well from playoff contention, which kind of sucks. But when you have everything happening in that regard as well, pieces just aren't falling, injuries, all the things. Either way, like I said, Vegas gets the win, gets that 100-point mark up and out of the way, exactly the kind of stress they need, again, going closer to the playoffs. The Aces also have had their ups and downs as well recently. So the question isn't whether they can score, it's can they be consistent, just like everything else we've talked about. Can you continue to be this consistent and operate at this high of efficiency in the games to come in the postseason, all of the things in its entirety? The other question is kind of like I asked on Wednesday, what team, or is there even a team out there that's going to be able to stop the Vegas Aces when they start to go on their playoff run? That's what I want to know. That's where that's the question is, where is this going to go? How are you going to see, like, what team is going to be able to make noise? I can give you 4 teams off the rip right now. And some of them have already shown that they can beat them in tight windows, can blow them out in its entirety. Obviously, Indiana being one of them, Minnesota being one of them. Don't be surprised if New York starts to creep back up in there. Golden State absolutely as well, and Dallas absolutely as well. So it's honestly the top 5 or 6, the other top 10 teams, top 8 teams in that WNBA playoff outlook that I think can really threaten the Vegas Aces in its entirety. Now we're moving on into Atlanta and Los Angeles. Like I said, LA did get eliminated from playoff contention after Atlanta put marks 124 to 88. 124 to 88 is crazy. I mean, a 101 to 78 is also nuts in its entirety as well. Listen, Ryan Howard in the Atlanta Dream. And I'll tell you, I, for the longest time, was very, very just neutral on Ryan Howard until I saw some of the dog come out of her. Like, they were the gameplay at the beginning of the season. I don't quite remember what it was. But she dropped almost a 40 piece on whoever this team was. Like I said, it was at the beginning of the season, so I can't quite remember off the top of my head. But Ryan Howard, Alicia Gray, Brianna Jones, Jordan Canada, Angel Reese, Tahina Powell, everybody down there in Atlanta is just out here for blood. And that's possible. I absolutely love it. I love it. Naya, thank you for joining us. And like, thank you for joining me here. Presented to you by the Unnetwork, talking some WNBA basketball here. Ryan Howard drops 36 points, or drops 20 points between the 124 and the 88. Okay, 26 points. Had an incredible shot percentage. Okay, Atlanta shot 63.9%, so 64% from the field. And from there, went 61.5% towards the second half. Like, who's like, what do y'all feed these folk down here in Atlanta? I want to know, like, what y'all feed, because these, listen, and I don't mean the term dark horse as a bad thing, because it's not. Atlanta Dream is sneaky good. Like, the Atlanta Dream, I swear, is going to come back and just start roasting folks or taking people into overtime, like they did like they have with Indiana playing time, like they have with Chicago. Like Atlanta, excuse me, is one of those teams you have to watch out for. It's honestly annoying as hell, but in the best way possible. Like, I love what the Atlanta Dream has been able to do since moving around and shifting pieces. And obviously adding Angel Reese as that rebounding threat down underneath the basket is a lot of the difference, because they had Brianna Jones last season, but she couldn't produce enough just because she was coming off an injury, like all the things. Then you still had Brittany Griner, obviously doing what Brittany Griner does. You don't have Brittany Griner anymore. You add an Angel Reese, who seemingly enough is a younger, equally as tall and a little bit stronger physically built from the legs down than Brittany Griner. It's nuts to me. Either way, and you can find this information at silverscreenandroll.com as well as the WNBA.com in its entirety as well. Like I said, they're just not winning basketball. It's taking control of the game itself from the opening tip. For LA, this one hurts obviously even more. Officially eliminated from the playoff contention after last night's loss to the Atlanta Dream, rather. On the other side of this, kind of like we talked about a couple of days ago, Nneka Ogwumike has announced that this is her last season. At the end of 2026, she is officially retiring from basketball. Her and I are about the same age, and it kind of sucks to watch, because it makes me feel old if she's retiring, and she's only a year older than I am, and I don't know how to feel about it. I'm kind of perplexed about it. It's okay, though. I'm not old. I swear. Either way, we're talking about an 11-time All-Star, former WNBA MVP, WNBA champion. Obviously, one of the most respected players this league has seen. She also has an older sister who was very much the similar way in Shanae. I was upset when Shanae announced that she wasn't coming back. Now I'm even more sad that Nneka is done, and I'm upset. As a fan of the WNBA, I am upset about this, but all good things must come to an end. like I said, she's been a major voice as the president of the WNBA PA Players Association. You can find that at HoustonChronicle.com as well in terms of your sporting information. So even though the Sparks are out of the playoffs, guys, like you still want to watch, you still want to finish watching the career of Nneka Ogwumike. You want to see how she goes out, all the things. Obviously, I at this point, I'm convinced that they're going to hang her jersey, and if they don't, they should. But like I said, that's why I love the WNBA. It's always another storyline. It's always people fighting for playoff positions, teams fighting for playoff positions. Obviously, you have the young stars starting to establish themselves in its entirety. And I feel like for the Sparks in its specific tone, if they could have just tried to avoid, obviously you can't help when somebody gets injured. That's it's just injuries happen. They're preventable, but they're not unavoidable when it comes to sports. Like if I think if Cam Brink wouldn't have tore her ACL the start of her rookie season and it just kind of been in and out since then, if she would have been able to have more consistency this season alone, I think their playoff hopes would still be there. I think if not losing Rickea Jackson to the Sky, that was a stupid move. Letting her go to the Sky, then you get Kelsey Plum, and apparently you don't treat her right, or something just wasn't going on correctly, and she goes somewhere else. Like a lot of these pieces that the Sparks have had, and just recently as this season, have come and gone so fast. Just like their season, and it kind of sucks. Like I hate to see that, Either way, my take on this entirety in just terms of WNBA, like I said on Wednesday, this is the time that you want to be playing your best basketball. You don't want to quite peak all the way, but you want to get closer and closer to that peak side of things. But like I said, guys, we had a short docket, not a lot to talk about. Or a lot to talk about, not a lot of topics, I should say, in its entirety. And if I can get my little special guest in here, somebody wants to say something to all of you, if you guys are willing to hang for just a second. Once I text the boss lady and see in here. Either way, it's like I always say, all right, it's fast. Oh, right now. Turn my head, obviously watching Pat McAfee. Got Pat McAfee going on back here. And the 49ers quarterback, that is Brock Purdy, is on the screen. And I'm kind of excited for that. Love me some Brock Purdy. Hate the San Francisco 49ers. Oh, hi, boo.
You said you want to be for yourself?
Yeah, you want to say hi?
Hi, Megan.
Say subscribe to my channel.
Subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to Mom's channel.
I love it. Thank you.
You're welcome, my darling.
Oh, okay. Can I finish the show? And I'm going to come out there with you and Mom?
Yeah.
Okay. I love you.
I love you too.
Oh, my child is so adorable. I love her so much. Either way, I always try to bring her. And for those of you who don't know, like, so my dad, before he passed away, when I was growing up, and my siblings were growing up a long time ago, my dad also had his own radio show on several different radio stations in Des Moines. And he used to have us come on the show and talk for a little bit on one of his segments and just say hi to the folks. And I kind of wanted to start passing that down with her. She's about the age I was when I was getting on my dad's show and talking. So anytime that I got her over here for our weekend or our month or whatever it is, I was trying to get her to come in because she loves to play and talk in the microphone even when it's not going. And two, just because, like I said, it's very sentimental to me to be able to have her come in and say a couple words in her squeaky child voice, and it's adorable. But listen, that's all I got for you this week. If you haven't already, please grab your Daily Heart Meets, share it out, like it. Make sure you are subscribing to the page, the Underknown Network, in its entirety. And before we go, obviously, we got to do a product drop with the founding member of the TheeMackTruckPod, the official sponsor and partner. In my back apparel, obviously by none other than the executive producer for the Underknown Network, that is Everett Thunder Bradfield. Right now, when you shop online at the TikTok shop, as well as the Underknown Network and in my bag.bigcartel.com, you will receive 15% off your entire first order by using the code word TRUCK, TRUCK, for 15% off your entire first order when you shop online on the TikTok shop, as well as inmybag.bigcartel.com. Oh, yeah, thank you for that. Listen, like I said, this show is very raw and uncut, and sometimes in the middle of a product plug, you gotta drop the news. More news coming out of In My Bag Apparel and Customs land. Underknown University drops on Monday, and Boss Man sent me some clips and pictures of the things that we got going on for Underknown University. And all I can say is you had better be caught up on your HBCU college affiliations. All I'm going to say right now in this very moment, like I said, right now, when you shop online at the TikTok shop or in mybag.bigcartel.com, you will receive 15% off your entire first order when you use the code word TRUCK, TRUCK, again, for 15% off your entire first order. But that's all we got today. We got the product plug, got the sponsor plug, got the network plug, got all the show plugs, got Chuck show plug. But like I said, if you guys were joining us in the middle of the show, at the top of the show, I am going to create a Mack Truck show community. Like I said, we're debating about improving the show some more. So I've been on this 12:30 slot for a little bit. Possibly going to try and adjust the time, but I want everybody's input that listens regularly, watches regularly, all the things. I need all the feedback, so don't be surprised if you get added to that chat. If you want to be added to that chat, message me privately on the TikTok sphere, and we'll go from there. And the boss man says, check In My Bag Apparel profile picture in just a minute. I didn't show you. Oh, listen, didn't show me everything yet. Oh, I love it here so much. Also, the show is brought to you by Vitamin Water. Because I brought one in and obviously never started drinking it. Normally, we're also sponsored by coffee or Dr. Pepper, all the things. This whole improving my lifestyle thing is slowly working. Let me see if I can look at this profile picture in its entirety. Oh my god, that's gonna be so fire. Oh, I need a Grambling one. I got more stuff to add to the cart. Boss lady is texting me, which means it's about to be time for food and lunch before I get ready to close out this work week here on the adult side. I see the different world, and like I said, now I need Grambling, I need Brown, I need Jackson State, I need all. Listen, this man is about to get all my extra money once I acquire all this overtime, and ask me if I'm mad about it, because I'm not. Oh, speaking of boss lady, everybody in the chat, if you're still here, I would appreciate it. Write "Hey Babe" in capital letters, because she loves when you do it. Don't let her lie to you either. Everybody say "Hey Babe" in the chat. Listen, if you know, you know. If you've been here, you know the rules. You got to send your dailies, and you got to give the boss lady a shout out, even though she claims she doesn't like attention. Just saying. Listen, like I said, I appreciate you guys for joining us here. Make sure you're checking out all things In My Bag Apparel and Customs. Make sure you're following, liking, and sharing and subscribing to the network. The Underknown Network, that is. Have to. That is a must. Make sure you're following, giving love to all shows. Like I said, Recognized Game powers back up on the 23rd. I'm here with you weekly, daily, during the day, during the weekday, if you will. Monday to Friday, 12:30 Eastern to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with the possibility of changing time slots just a little bit. Going to see what everybody thinks. I need some feedback from everybody as well. Can be great feedback, can be bad feedback. I just need feedback so we can try to improve this thing on our daily basis here. Gonna look at some stats, gonna see the traffic, all of the things. So I appreciate you guys for joining me here. Had our guest on, had all of the things. I'm excited. It's another weekend of sports we're about to get into, y'all. Another week of content coming to you starting on Monday. And I appreciate also, strangely enough, random side note, this shirt I have on makes me look like I've been lifting weights for the entire summer. Just so you know, I have not. which tells me I'm still chiseled. Love this for me. But I also want to leave you guys with this. Like, you know, I always try to leave y'all. Listen, this shirt, y'all, listen, boss man. And okay, I got to say this because this kind of goes along with what I'm saying is like everybody that has supported me through this whole thing, y'all will never understand how grateful I am for you. And like just that comment made me just, you know, re-understand that like you're always going to have people in your corner. It doesn't matter what you're doing, who you are, like you're always going to have people in your corner. It's how you reciprocate that to those people. And I don't know if I've done a good enough job. I do my best to make sure that I'm supporting everybody that's supported me in some way, shape, or form. So I get a little choked up just knowing that I have a lot of great people in my corner. My wife's in my corner, my best friend Evan's been in my corner, my best friend Ant's been in my corner, Ariel's been in my corner. Like I could just sit here and list off a bunch of people. So like I said, huge shout out to you guys for supporting me. Hell yeah, let's go. The Mac Truck merch has a nice little section in the closet for listen. See, that's the stuff I love to hear. And I'm gonna tell you this, boss man, in my bag and the truck merch also has a very large section in my closet as well. I'm going ironically enough, I'm going through a lot of my stuff in my closet so I can like downsize and then re-up again. A lot of my sweatshirts, a lot of the truck shirts, my still favorite thing out of the entire line is one of the OG designs from In My Bag Apparel. That is Wild Willie on the hoodie, and it's a brown hoodie too. That's the best part is like it's the rustic Western Willie Nelson. If you haven't seen it, maybe I'll wear it on air next week so y'all could see it. Still got my Kobe one, still got the OG original Mac Truck hoodie. Like I got the big purple one too, which reminds me I need to order another one because there might be a giant hole in the pocket, and I just figured this out yesterday. Kind of mad about it. Like I said, super OG. So there's just a lot of stuff. And like I said, I'm really appreciative of everybody that has stuck with me through this whole thing. Like I finally feel like just my show personally is going places. So obviously there's always something to prove on, something to work on, all the things. But like, if you have somebody out there in your life that's supporting you or that needs help being supported, send them over my way. Like I'll share anything they have. I'll, listen to anything they have, that type of thing. Because the only way that we keep this thing going is by support. Like people don't just get big overnight. It takes the small village of supporters to help propel you. And I will forever be thankful for those supporters that I have, that I've always had, that have, like I said, that were with me when I was recording episodes on my lunch break at work, when I was trying to build the consistency and build the habits, like when I was recording the episodes and putting them out on Spotify for podcasters when that was a thing. So everybody that's been in my corner, to my wife, my daughter, my best friends, long and wide and all across the country, whether we know each other personally, whether we don't, those of you that have supported me, like I said, I will always do my best to make sure I am giving all a shout out. And another thing, because you know me, I got to keep it real and 100. Okay. If you are one of those people that looks for support, but doesn't give it back, we can't have conversations, because you didn't get to where you are without support, and others can't get to where they are without support. Support is, and that's just, it's not just monetary support. Let me just rephrase that. Okay. What people seem to think support is these days is it has to be monetary. It's not. It's doing the free stuff. It's reposting to your stories. It's sharing it out. It's subscribing. It's listening to a little bit of a couple episodes or two, leaving feedback, leaving a review. It's getting those things out there. It's doing all the free stuff in terms of just the social media space that we're in. And here's another big supporter, like one of my newer friends just being on this platform. Big shout out to Khaleesi. She has been in here, whether she's just been able to pop in, whether she's just sharing, whether she's just, just in here to say hi, getting her dailies, all the things. Like Khaleesi is one of the biggest supporters you could find out here, and her content is fantastic. I hate that I miss a lot of her stuff because of my work schedule, but I need y'all to understand it. I know it's okay, and you're totally fine, Khaleesi. And like I said, like I'm gonna make a community chat for people in the truck family, get feedback, that type of thing. But like I said, like just as far as Khaleesi, I try to give her a huge shout out every time, because she's always commenting on everything from the network. She's always commenting on people's things from our show. Like she also has her own her own content, which is fantastic. I still can't figure out how you and FLG do these types of things that y'all do as far as like your screens, and like I need to make my stuff a lot cooler. I'm just a talk show host or aspiring. So I've got a lot of things I'm working on. I still got like, room to grow, but like I said, just huge shout out to everybody that's been in the corner, everybody that actually cares in some way, shape, or form. It means a lot to me. People like y'all are what keep me going as far as just staying motivated to do this type of thing. It really, I wish I could just take the gratitude that I have and just physically give it to y'all. It's just, like I said, I'm always going to be a person, and always have been a person who's in it for, self-respect and all the things. And here's the better part about that, Khaleesi, is a lot of what I'm talking about is stuff that you and me and Evan and everybody out here that's really serious about making our content and making it the best that we can, and providing something for people is what sparks, this end of the show conversation type of thing. Is like a lot of these content creators out here are here to just line their own pockets, but then want to get upset when they feel like they don't have the true genuine support. But you have to give support to get it. It's like respect. You have to give respect to get it. And that doesn't necessarily mean like going out on a limb every time for somebody. But like I said, it's the simple stuff. It's sharing, it's engaging. Okay, babe, I'm almost done. Sorry, I didn't see your last comment because the chat's going a little fast. But like I said, in order to get respect and get support, you have to give it. And unfortunately, and I say unfortunately just because that's how the world works, like you have to show it first before you get it back. But there's also points where you can show it too much and still feel like you're not getting that back in some way, shape, or form. So it's just, like I said, it's refreshing to be in a network and be in a space and have met the people that I have doing this, because we all are like-minded people. That's definitely what I've been saying. And if you check people, yeah, absolutely. And people don't like being checked about it. And just like, it's like being confronted or anything like that. So, that's just my little tidbit. But like I said, be kind to one another, treat people with respect, support the ones that support you. And like I said, it doesn't necessarily have to be monetary, just, tap the screen, all the things that we do in the social media space in its entirety. But listen, that's been it for the truck show this week. Talked about a lot, went through a lot, had a lot of different conversations. Next week, same thing. Like I said, look forward to that group chat. Probably the next day or two as we gear up for the next week's Game Spheres. Got NCAA starting week 0 next week, I believe. Got preseason ball, got more WNBA, Little League baseball, MLB baseball, banana ball, I'm sure, still out. We all the balls. I love it. All the sports ball action, if you will. Thank you for the roses. I appreciate it so much. Any final questions or comments before I close this thing out? Let's go, Subway. Also, one more shout out, because y'all know I can't pop out of here without giving my wife her daily flowers, which I try to do, but big shout out to my wife. That woman is a fucking saint. Dealing with me, I can't imagine what it's like, but babe, just know I love you and I appreciate you for being on this journey that I'm trying to get to in my career. And I love you so much. And the fact that you have seen me fall and struggle and come up so many times and you still decide to be with me is amazing. And you'll never understand how grateful I am for you. You'll never understand how grateful I am for our child. And thank you for the galaxy. I appreciate it so much, Khaleesi. Like I said, I just do my best to try to support everybody. And my wife, just on a personal level, my wife has been the most supportive individual as far as like my daily life, intimate life, my partner for life, my best fucking friend. And sometimes I'm not real great with words, but I just need you to know how amazing you are and how amazing everybody has been for me. Huge shout out to the best friends, Big Ant and Big E Money, Evan Thunder Bradfield, the executive producer for the network, and really what I feel like is the executive producer of my sporting life in its entirety as well. Big shout out to Ariel for being one of my best friends since middle school as well. But that's what I got for you guys. I appreciate it. Yeah, my wife gets me emotional and she knows it. She's great at it, and I'm not going to complain at all about it. She's one person that I have zero problems being emotional around until she starts to like pick my brain, like the therapist that she's about. I'm cool on all of that, but like being able to show emotion for your loved ones is, something that I've struggled with, but she's made it a lot easier. I can tell you that. Thanks, babe. I love you. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Like I said, drop your feedback. Let me know what you think. Like I said, look forward to that Mack Truck Tunnel community in its entirety. Listen, be kind to one another, love one another, have a 5-minute conversation with somebody that doesn't look like you, talk like you. It'll open your mind. You just have to be willing to do it. I love you guys. We'll see you next week for another edition of Mack Truck in the Morning, the Mack Truck Show, Mack Truck-ish, all the things. I'm Mack Truck. It's been a great week. Listen, be safe, wear your sunscreen, okay? Hydrate and watch how you talk to people. Until next week, I will see you later. See ya. Have a great weekend. Stay tuned and